of the Hajj savings scheme, which we started actually in 2020 despite the pandemic. The idea behind the Hajj savings scheme was our belief that we need to relieve the government, whether the federal, state, or local government, of the burden of funding Hajj operation. But I must say at this stage that as far as the federation is concerned, that is National Hajj Commission, our Hajj operation is funded 100% from our internally generated revenue. It's not the federation, it's not from the federation account that we fund our Hajj operation entirely, I say, without any fear of that indeed our Hajj operation is 100% funded by our IGR. But the same is not in the states. And we thought that generally government has enough responsibility in providing infrastructures and giving the citizen those basic needs, and therefore Hajj should be run by the Hajj managers without involving the government financially. And so we also feel that those who are poor, who wish to go to Hajj, does not have to go a begging, because after all, Allah the Almighty has made it very clear, Hajj is obligatory only to the extent that you can afford to pay, that you have the health and you have the time. If you don't have any of these basic things, Hajj is no more obligatory to you. So the fact that you love to go to Hajj and you can't afford it, it's sufficient enough for you to just, save bit by bit. And we said you can save up to 10 years, you can save up to 5 years, you can save lesser than that or even more than that, with the idea that you really want to go to Hajj. And that's why we started, and we are on course.
Okay.
And some of the programs are going this year. Another initiatives which we started, which is already concluded, but we're just about to open the frontier, is the issue of Hajj Institute. We believe Hajj being a multi-billion naira industry, those who are to manage it are people who have to be trained, because Hajj is not just about the rituals. Hajj include how do you get the flight, how do you pay for accommodations, how do you fulfill the Saudi government requirements, a whole lot more. Hajj is tourism and more. We feel that people should be trained, and that's why and I must tell you that we are probably the only Hajj Commission in the entire world that have started this initiative of training people. What we have in mind is actually the younger minds to come into the industry, get properly trained, and then add their value to Hajj operation.
Okay, before we go to the Hajj Institute, I want us to go back to the Hajj saving scheme. You said one can save for like 10 years or 5 years, depending on what the capacity is. But then again, does that mean that, for example, if Hajj will cost me about 1 million or maybe 1.5 million, does that mean that I have to save up to that amount to be able to access it?
Well, the truth is, when you save, now sometimes it's almost impossible to determine ahead what Hajj will cost until the time itself, because there is the issue of inflation, the issue of new regulation in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and a host of others. More particularly, there's the issue of the foreign exchange, and Hajj is actually determined in about 97% in dollars. So if the dollar is high, the cost will be high. If the dollar's rate to naira is high, and if it is low, it will be lower as well. So you have to save, but the purpose of this saving is that it is also used by investment due to our partnership with Jaiz Bank, of which you are entitled to returns. And those returns, you can get it in your phone on a monthly basis to know how your fund is growing. This fund are also protected by our agreement with Jaiz Bank that you cannot fail, it can only grow. So it depends on what your fund is totally accumulated to, when it will be determined when it's to go. And it's also, the Hajj savings scheme is also a queuing system. It's first come, first serve. So that's the idea. So if you come first before another, then it will be your turn. Otherwise, you wait for another year. The idea is that you don't have to go begging because you want to go to Hajj.
But how has the enrollment been thus far for the Hajj savings scheme?
Well, being a novelty, something coming new, that's its own challenges, that's its own hiccups. But by and large, it has become what we just have to do. This year, we are taking most of those who are in the scheme to Hajj, and we're also taking other people who are not in the scheme.
Now that you have mentioned this year and those that are going to Hajj this year, how has the movement of pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia been this year? How is it going? Is it going according to plan?
It's going according to plan. I must say alhamdulillah for that. Our intention is that between now and the 3rd of July or thereabout, we will have moved the entire Nigerian pilgrims to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia about 5 days before a Hajj proper process will begin.
Okay, we do understand that this year Nigeria did not get, got less than half of its annual slots. How were you able to distribute it round?
Well, we used a formula which was based on the performance of different states in 2019, which was the last time. So it depends on your performance, that's what we give. But I must say there's no one single entity in the Hajj operation this year who are satisfied with the distribution. What I mean is that everybody wants more. Every state wants more. Every top operator wants more. At the Hajj Commission, we want more. Even as I speak with you, we have an envoy which we sent to Saudi Arabia with the possibility that we can get additional slot. Actually, the last time I was in Saudi Arabia, we got a promise from the Ministry of Hajj that we're going to get additional 5,000 slots. But when it was not coming as at the time, we sent our Commissioner for Operation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with the sole purpose of asking them to see how we can get back the slot. If we do get it back, we give it to Nigerian Muslims who are very much waiting. If we get 50,000, it won't be enough. But we needed we were relying on 5,000. But as I still speak with you, we haven't got it. We are still expecting that our commissioner who went to the kingdom will make a breakthrough. But up to now, we just will have to manage with what we have, and that those who are not able to go this year should pray that Allah gives them good health until next year.
Okay, but so far, how have you been able to calm the frayed nerves, the aggrieved persons who are, have made up their mind that this year I will perform the Hajj?
You see, our message to them, and our message to them now as well, is that for 2 years, every Muslim outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the whole entire universe wanted to go to Hajj. Some of these people wanted paid, but yet there was no Hajj because of the pandemic. But we still live. We worship our Creator wherever we are. So for them, all they need is to be more patient. We still use the period of first come, first serve. So if their money is still within the system, we'll protect them, that they get priority next year, because we don't know what allocation we're going to get next year. Even if we do, already there are so much people already in the system that we don't know how. We still will have to look for ways to cope with the inflows of intending pilgrim next year. So what we just tell Muslims is simple. We didn't go in the last 2 years, but we still live and pray and worship our Creator. There's still many more years, many more opportunity to go to Hajj after this year.
Okay, now you mentioned that this year's allotments to the states were based on their performance in 2019. What was the yardstick that was used?
What we mean by performance is simply, if you go with 200, another person go with 400 in 2019, it simply means you are going to get half of what that person will get. That was the simple performance.
Okay.
Because in 2019, they were actually glut. Nigeria was giving 95,000, but we're able to do only 64,000. It was the opposite of what is happening now. At that time, so it depends on your capability to attract pilgrim to your state at that time. So now, your good performance or weak performance at that time, forced to bear this year. Otherwise, every single state wanted so much more this year.
What is the possibility that next year we might have, more spaces, sort of like it was in 2019? What are the possibilities?
Well, the reason why this is happening, and I can understand, is Saudi Arabia government just trying to be cautious, to be sure that they are not the reason why there will be spark, and then they will be accused of being not health conscious, and that's why they actually decided to reduce not just the slot, but they also said that any person who is up to 65 years and above should not come to the kingdom for Hajj. I have a strong feeling for that matter, that this will change against next year. So those who are over 65 years now should pray to live longer, and then they will be able to go next year. And I'm sure they will increase the number. And this, of course, will be depending on whether every country is able to manage its health situation in the kingdom. And we have done our own best. Our health officials have done enough screening of our prospective pilgrims to be sure that they're healthy. In matter of age too, of course, you won't get visa if you're over 65. And then other things has been done, and we have gone with a whole lot of team of medicals, both from the state and some from the National Health Commission, to ensure that the health of our pilgrims are not put at risk. And I'm sure other countries too are doing the same. So if we do not have, and I pray we don't have, any health issues this year, obviously Saudi Arabia will open the kingdom more. For pilgrims. All right, you're listening to Citizen FM 93.7 from 9:30. I will open the phone lines. Perhaps you have a question or two to ask the National Chairman of the Hajj Commission, Alhaji Zikrullah Kunle Hassan, who's in the studio with me this morning as we look at this year's Hajj. We'll take a quick break, and when we do come back, we will be talking more with regards to the Hajj, the operations, and of course, how Nakan feels about being able to perform the Hajj this year. First time since 2019. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more. Do stay with us.
Wavex Pleasure Ride. Here at last. Join the safest, classiest, and cheapest taxi ride in town. Wavex Taxi Ride for absolute safety and comfort. Available in over 500 cities in Nigeria, Africa, Europe, and America. Download the app now from the Google Store.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Citizen FM 93.7. It's the Zuma headlines. My name is Kem, and in the studio with me this morning is the chairman of National Hajj Commission, Alhaji Zikrullah Kunle Hassan, and we have been looking at the Hajj and its operations. Before we went on that break, we had taken a look at the pilgrims and all of that, and also the slots allocated to Nigeria. Now we want to move on to Alhaji. The Hajj savings scheme, is it? You mentioned earlier that it's an investment scheme towards Hajj. Savings and investment scheme towards Hajj. Does that mean that once you enter, until you perform the Hajj, you are going to have to be in it, or what? And then, what is the minimum entry point?
When the truth is this, when this is a scheme that once you are in and you need to get your money back, you're entitled to do so.
At any point.
At any point. Then we did give some people back their money this year. But of course, the idea is this: if you have an intention to perform something in Islam and you're unable to do so because it was beyond you, Allah the Almighty is going to reward you as if you have done so. That's our understanding. That's our belief in Islam. Now you are a welder, or you are a bricklayer, or you're just somebody managing yourself in the system in civil service with a salary less than 100,000. And Hajj this year is 2.5 million. But you have the intention that one day you want to go, and you have enough dignity that you don't want to beg, you can start saving as much as 10,000 per month.
Towards it.
And tell Allah, the Almighty, who gives, that this is, I've started my intention, it's now left for you to aid me legitimately. That is the very concept. In other climes, the one to which we look forward to, and that is Malaysia, there are some people save up to 20-25 years. That's why when you go to the kingdom, you find that most of their prisoners are old people. Because, believe you me, Malaysia has allotment just about a quarter of Nigeria. Just about a quarter that they are giving. But year in, year out, they have learned that this culture of saving can help, because when the fund is huge enough, it turns to a large investment, and with that we can subsidize even for the pilgrims in future, because you can buy some of those things that are needed for it. By that I mean accommodations and even flight in advance, and then get the advantage of large scale, operation. So when you come in, any single amount is enough, and you can do so gradually, and like I said, for as good many number of years that Allah the Almighty wish.
I do understand that, because you mentioned Malaysia, but I do understand that in Malaysia, the Hajj operations, like if in Nigeria, for example, we are paying 2.5 million for Hajj, I do understand that in Malaysia they sometimes pay a lot less based on this investment that is put together.
Yes, the truth is, and that is our goal, because of the huge returns from investment based on Hajj saving scheme in Malaysia, which has started long as I am alive, and I'm over 60 now. That's how long Malaysian Muslims have thought that it was necessary. And for us, starting late is better than never starting.
Absolutely.
So that was why in their own place, it's not like the way we are rushing now, that if I don't go to Hajj this year, then I might as well die. No, in their own case, if you enter the system, the earliest we can go to Hajj will be around 20 years. Because there are a lot of people before you. You are not going to overtake them because no one person at the right place or not. You just have to go through the system.
Okay, that brings me to this. If, for example, a person has been saving 10,000 and another person has been saving 50,000, and one person has been able to get maybe the 2.5 million. Does it mean that that person will not go before the person who's been saving 10,000?
No, the person will come first to the breaking point. It will go first.
Okay.
It's not about the fact that it came later, because some may be 10 years goal, some may be 2 years. It depends on how you're able to meet the target as at the time Hajj operation will begin.
Now, you did mention that some people took out their investment this year. Why? Do you have any idea?
Some maybe they just thought that they had other obligations which are more important. And of course, if you want to go to Hajj, you shouldn't be in debt. If you're in debt, or you are yet to pay your children's school fees or your house rent, Hajj becomes secondary. In fact, it will become a sin to leave your landlord waiting for you, not paying your rent, or the proprietor of your children's school not having paid school fees, or your wife is hungry at home, your children is hungry at home, your parents are hungry at home. You say you're going to Hajj to do what? Who has invited you? Nobody.
Okay, now that takes us to what are some of the things that an individual must take into cognizance before they decide it is time that I would like to visit the Holy Land of Mecca?
To be honest with you, I went to Hajj. I was a bachelor. There's nothing an individual need to do other than the fact that first he must be a Muslim, he must be sane, and must be matured.
Okay.
Age of maturity may be different, but anybody minimum of 18 years and is of sound mind has sufficiently reached age of maturity, because the Hajj is not supposed to be a title. It's not supposed to be something unduly advertised. It's a relationship between you and your Creator. That's why what do we say when we go there? You say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. That's the whole Allah have answered your call. There's none deserving to be worshipped except you. Nobody we should associate with except you. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Oh my Creator, I've come to answer your call. It's supposed to be a spiritual relationship between you and your Creator, to So visit his house in Mecca, to visit the Prophet Medina, Prophet Mosque in Medina. It's not something that's supposed to be grandiose, that you put on gold teeth or silver teeth and all those things, or you wear a particular cap or things like that, which are our tradition and culture. That is not the essence of Hajj. Hajj is a spiritual journey. It's a deep way of saying that I want to go and worship my Creator in the Holy Land. I want to see where Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to live and how he has been able to tell the whole world that Islam is the religion. I mean, you go to Medina, where Mecca, where it started, Medina, where it thrives, and you see so many relics to increase your faith. The idea is a faith, it's for you to spiritually rejuvenate. The idea is not about grandiose ceremony or things like that.
Okay, there are some people who will be listening to us at this point and may not be Muslims, right? So I'd like us to just talk a little bit about, I know you have mentioned something, but I'd like us to just mention how important it is to the Muslim faith.
Well, first, as we know, Islam has 5 fundamental pillars. All these pillars are interwoven. The first and most important is that a Muslim must believe in his Creator. That is fundamental. If you do not have faith in Allah, or faith in the Prophet of Islam, or faith in the book, the Quran, then every other exercise that you do has no essence. It is actually a waste of time. So faith is the first thing. The second one, every Muslim must observe Salah. And the difference between a Muslim and a non-Muslim essentially is the Salah that we do. What's the essence of the Salah? It's just to say, Allah said, I should do this, I do it. That's just, for a Muslim, that's the most essential part of the prayer that we do. Allah said, I should do it, I have no question. The third one is that if you have, you must give to the poor. If you don't have, you don't have to give. But if you can still, it's well and welcome, as long as it's legal and legitimate. The fourth one is you fast in the month of Ramadan, the 9th Islamic month. Of course, you can fast at any other time, but the one that is obligatory is the one in Ramadan. And then finally, you do pilgrimage to the Holy Land at least once in your lifetime. It's not something you have to do every time. We don't even encourage people to go every time. There's nothing to be. Give other people a chance.
Okay. Now you mentioned the month of fasting, the month of Ramadan. What's the significance of the month of Ramadan to the Islamic faith?
The month of Ramadan is the 9th Islamic month. That is the month when fasting is made obligatory to Muslim of age of maturity. The significance, therefore, is also to say that when you feel the pang of hunger and thirst of water, it relieves and reminds you that indeed there are some people who are poorer than you, who what you are going through in this 1 month is what they go through in their entire life. So indeed, a true Muslim must have compassion for others, including animals, because if he remembers those days in those months of Ramadan when he wishes he could eat but he couldn't, then it is to drive into you that you need to have compassion for those who doesn't have. It's one of the essence. But again, like all aspects of Islam, it's just to reconnect you with your Creator at all times, to say, oh Allah, you ask me to do this, I am powerless, and therefore I do so. And that is the essence of the reward of Muslims to all act that we do. You wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to do Salah. Ordinarily, these are the times when you enjoy your sleep the more. Sometimes you have to break from work you have to do. Also, this is because this is Allah's wish, and all those acts are not left unnoticed. So once you do so, of course you get the reward. So that's how it cascades into Hajj. When you go to Hajj, and have you been able to go there?
No, not yet.
You have to go and save.
Not yet.
You better go to Hajj saving scheme and say you need to go.
Inshallah.
Because Hajj is a place where people come from every part of the world. There's no Muslim, serious Muslim, who should go to Hajj and should have tribal instinct in him.
It is actually said to be it's actually said to be one of the largest gatherings of such.
Yes, of people of all. It is the United Nations really in numbers. Because these are places you see. You probably will see Muslim from country you don't know exist. Like for instance, if I tell people that somebody is from Kazakhstan, some has not heard of the name before. Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan. Yes, so many Muslims come from this region.
Wow.
And as popular as Nigeria may appear, you see somebody and say, well, you're from where? You say Nigeria. The man will shake his head. Because he's an illiterate. He has never traveled before anywhere. He has never heard of it. Say Nigeria. Nigeria. Ethiopia? No, Nigeria. Abyssinia? He has never heard Nigeria before. So when you come and you see each other, you embrace each other and understand the universality of Islam. Because these people like you are yearning to come, happy to be there. And most people that are going to this place for the first time who are spiritually filled up, once they see the Holy Kaaba, they start crying, cry of joy. So one of the essence is this: every human being, every Muslim from, every nations in the world are represented in Saudi Arabia at that time, and all dressed in white, particularly the men. It's not composed for the women. So those are the moments that you will not know the difference between an head of state and his ADC.
Wow.
The rich man and the poor man, so all are dressed in the same type of clothes. You will not know the difference. It reminds you about the equality of mankind. Then if you are filled with undue arrogance and pride, I am a governor. At that day, the governor and the messenger will be dressed in the same simple clothes. If you don't do so, it means you have gone on excursion. You have not gone to Hajj. You cannot say I want to do Hajj, but as a chairman, chief executive of a multi-global company, I need to put on my barbaric or something. No. You have to put on, if you're a man, that simple white dress, and that everybody will be saying.
Okay, now the Hajj is usually performed during the Eid al-Kabir. That's
during the season.
During the season. What exactly is the significance of that season?
Well, the Hajj actually is the 8, 9, 10, and 11, or sometimes you can add the 12 of the Islamic month. That is the time of Hajj.
Okay.
The 12th Islamic month.
Okay.
So the idea of Hajj is that Hajj is performed in a specific place at a specific time.
Okay.
That is the difference of Hajj as against many other rituals of Islam. You cannot just say at any other time you are free. Well, I'm going to Hajj this year. No, it must be in Hajj. If you are not on the night of the Islamic month, if you are not at the plain of Arafah, that year is gone. You didn't perform Hajj.
Okay, so on the 12th month, on the 9th day of the 12th month,
it's the day of Arafah. It's the day real of Hajj.
Okay.
That is the real day of Hajj.
Why is it the real day of Hajj? What happens at that time?
The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Hajj Arafah. The real Hajj is Arafah, the day of Arafah. There are other things you do before that. You first go to Muna. After you spend the day in Muna, you go to Arafah. After you leave Arafah, you go to Muzdalifah. After Muzdalifah, you go back to Mina. Then from Mina, you go back and throw the stones at the place we call Jamra. But the most important, that you must not miss, that if you do miss for any reason,
even if you're in Saudi Arabia,
even if you're in Saudi Arabia, even if you're a minute away from the place, and then the day begin, and then it ended, and you are not able to enter the plain of Arafah, you have to pray to come back another time for Hajj.
Why is it that important?
Because, like I told you, we are Muslims. What we are told is what we believe. Of course, there are so many historical reasons about what happened day of Arafah. I can go on and go on.
Well, perhaps you could just enlighten us a little bit, because you have some people who are probably young Muslims.
Okay, well, it is said that so many miraculous things happen coincidentally on those days.
Okay.
For instance, it was said that when Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ was troubled, it took and he was actually supposed to be burnt, and the Quran says that the angel of God, actually it was put in the gallows, and supposedly the angel of God instructed Allah instructed the angel of God to command in the Quran. The Quran says, "Kulna yana rukuna bardan wa salama ala Ibrahim." Oh, yana, you this fire be quenched. At the time, Prophet Yunus, called Jonah in the Bible, was taken alive and swallowed by the whale. He kept on chanting that Allah should forgive him. That the day also when he was thrown back from the whale and put into the shores also coincidentally fall on this day. That our main father, Adam, when he was thrown out of the garden of Jannah, and was wallowing on earth, in melancholy and asking Allah to forgive him. Asking Allah to forgive him. It was on that same day, coincidentally, days which are spread apart in hundreds of or thousands of years, that the coincidence was it is that ninth of day of
the 12th month.
The 12th month that they were. So there are a whole lot, and some of them are myths, some are true. But the most important thing, the Prophet of Islam told us, Al-Hajj Arafah. The real Hajj is the day of Arafah, the ninth of what we call Zulhijjah, the 12th Islamic month. If you miss that day, you have missed the Hajj of that year. You have to come another year.
And back here in Nigeria, when it's the Eid, anytime it's Eid, the first thing they ask you about is meat, and then you have to say, no, this is not the meat Eid, and then they say, how many Eids are we going to have before we have meat?
Yes. Incidentally, the 10th day of Zulhijjah, which is the second day after the Arafah, is our Eid here, which we call the Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Kabir, and that is they call it Eid al-Adha means is the festival, is this where we slaughter ram. So we like to let our listener to know that in the month of Ramadan you do another Eid too, another Salah, but that's the one that is not for meat. Of course, you can eat meat on that day as well, but the one really for meat, and
for ram meat.
Yeah, ram meat, exactly that. Well, not just ram meat; it's just cultural.
Okay.
You can kill a camel.
Oh, really?
Yes, you can kill a cow. But I think people just like the taste and the smell of ram, because it's at that time that it is the season of the ram. But it's not just ram. You can kill other. You can slaughter animal. You can slaughter goats, depending on what you can afford. So it's not just ram. But I agree with you. Ram has taken lead over other type of animal,
especially here in our society.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's look at, you mentioned the Hajj saving scheme, and we're done with that. Let's take a look at the Hajj Institute. Who are the people who can enroll in the Hajj Institute, and what do they stand to learn?
Our goal when the institute is started, when we return from Hajj, is to train people about the whole essence of how you can run a successful Hajj operation. And believe you me, it takes a lot. For instance, if you are not ICT compliant, you will not be able to run Hajj successfully. It has got to start that, because now you do visa of Hajj in your room. You don't go to the embassy. You print your visa in your room. You can do so in the corner of your bedroom. So if you are not ICT compliant, the visa is not going to fall from the sky and meet you in your room.
So what you're trying to say is that any Muslim who's interested in going for Hajj,
any Hajj manager, the essence of the Hajj management.
The Hajj manager.
Yeah, the essence is to train the operators. I mean, the Hajj manager, it could be a private operator, it could be a government employee. What we are saying that every person who wants to be in the business must be sufficiently trained that he can do all aspects of Hajj. And like I said, even ICT training is part of it. Catering, knowledge of catering is part of it, because the Muslim, the pilgrim must be fed in the Holy Land. It's a requirement that they must be fed. I'm not saying you are the one to cook, but you must have some basic knowledge of what it's all about. Or you could possibly in the future have caterers in your group who will also feed people who are in your group.
And the Hajj Institute takes care of that?
Yes, all this knowledge.
Okay.
And then also the knowledge we're trying to educate people is all what the nitty-gritties of operation in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Believe you me, any person who is new who now said he wants, of course, we've not even licensed him. The idea is that you must, just like you must have a basic knowledge to be licensed in whatever fields you want to do, if it's a profession. The essence of it is that everybody will go through that institute, including me that I'm speaking with you.
Oh.
Including me. I promised myself that I'm going to be the first enrollee.
So when is the institute starting?
We hope to start not more than 2 months, inshallah, when we return from Hajj. Now we are preoccupied with running this year's Hajj, which we call emergency Hajj. We call it emergency Hajj because the information given to us before we start was so little. But we have to manage with what we have and ensure that we take the pilgrims to Hajj. It took us a little time to manage, but then we're on course.
Perhaps this Hajj Institute will be something we will discuss when you come back from Hajj, inshallah.
Sure.
So that we can, expound it. And
we'll come back.
Okay,
yes.
so because people will need to know what they need to do to enroll and all of that. Sure. However, this year's Hajj, I understand from the news that some pilgrims have been lifted.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I speak with you, because we are in charge of lifting pilgrims from the state, the private tour operators who have about 9,000 of the entire slot of 43,000 have the specific responsibility of lifting the pilgrims, and they just started now. For them, they go through the normal international flights, Emirates, Qatar, Ethiopia, and the like. But for us, who are in charge of the state, we do chartered aircraft. Now we are about 60% of airlifting.
Okay.
And we're on course that in the next 5 days thereabout, we should be able to move the entire Nigerian the next 5 or 6 days actually. We should be able to be done with the airlifting.
Okay, for the Nigerian pilgrims in your own, not the private,
but I'm sure we're going to finish about the same time.
At about the same time.
Yeah, in about 6 days now. So if you are really going to Hajj, if you have been enrolled, I think get to be prepared. I'm not saying rush. There's a time for everybody. The time to fly one state is different from the time to fly the other state. We already have a schedule, and these are already known to the different authorities. So we are going in stages, but by in about 6 days' time, we should be able to move the entire Nigerian pilgrims.
Inshallah. I do understand that some states had to pay slightly less than others.
Yeah, just slightly less, and this is because, the difference is basically in the airfare. It costs more to fly from southwestern Nigeria than from the average northern country. And
northern states.
Yes, northern state, thank you.
Yeah.
Northern state. And lesser than those who are flying from the northeast. The northeast is closer to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia than other states. So theirs is there's a little bit less than the other part of the north.
Okay.
Whereas those in the south pay a little more. Because of, as you know, some of the way airfare is the cost of airfare is sometimes determined by distance.
Yeah, distance. Now, we have had foreign exchange issues in Nigeria. How has it affected the Hajj?
Well, to a large extent, to a very large extent, we have operated mainly within the government window of the official exchange rate. The government didn't give us any discount.
Considerations.
No, there were no special consideration. But we're giving the consideration deserving to an average Nigerian, and that is why we pass all our financial process only through the central bank. And we're going at the official exchange rate, which is 410. Apart from the fact that we need to pay commission, but it's about 410, which is about the official exchange rate. We went through that,
which is just fair. Now, at the beginning of the program, you mentioned something about the fact that what the Hajj is, how the Hajj funds come in is from internally generated revenue. Can you kindly enlighten us on that?
Well, for everything that you want to do, you have to pay. If you're dealing with us as a commission, you do so, I must tell you, not gratuitously. We charge fees for whatever you do with us. If you're a tour operator, we charge fees. If you are going, we charge small amount, administrative fees, which those fees we get from service providers. The fund which we through which we fund our operations.
So that is to say that you are not, NACON does not take money from the budget, from the Nigerian budget.
No, we don't. Well, we don't. Let me be very clear on that.
Yes.
Our salaries are paid from the budget.
Okay. But that's where it ends?
Well, also our running cost, the fueling, and the stationaries are funded from the budget. But that's where it comes. Where it ends. But everything from accommodation of even the staff of the National Commission, their flights, their extra code are run by us. None are funded. We can say that we are one
agency
or commission of the federal government which fund its main mandate through our IGR, not by the federal government. I mean, the Mr. President was very specific about that. He's not going to fund Hajj operations, and he stood with that, and we had no choice but to get creative. Yes, get creative, and I think we're okay. We're surviving, and we have already got used to the fact that that is the way to go.
No wonder they said that you're a square peg in a square hole, because they knew you could make it work.
Thank you.
Right. All right. You're listening to the Zuma the Zuma show, Zuma Talking Point on Citizen FM 93.7. I have been speaking with Alhaji Zikrullah Kunle Hassan, who is the NACON chairman, that is the National Hajj Commission, and we're looking at Hajj. We're looking at the operations thus far. If you missed the aspect where he was mentioning, where he spoke about the Hajj saving scheme, you might want to listen again. Of course, you know that we stream live on YouTube, and after the program, the recording will be live there on YouTube on Citizen FM 93.7. If you log on to YouTube and search for Citizen FM 93.7, then you will find today's recording. That said, for those who are able to make Hajj this year, what would you like to say to them? Possibly encouragement and admonishment.
Well, what I would like to tell them first is to say Alhamdulillah, because there's more Muslims in Nigeria and every part of the globe who really sincerely wished that they are part of the pilgrims, and they did have the money and they have health, but it's just that there are not space for everybody. The second is for them not to forget the essence of Hajj. And believe you me, they have to go with a whole lot of patience. I must say that what a pilgrims need more than anything is patience. You are probably going to sleep in a room with 4 people, possibly your first experience in over 20 years or more. You are not likely to sleep alone in your room. You are going to move in buses. Maybe also for some, these are experiences which has dated for over 2 decades. It's chauffeur driven. Now it's going to be in a car to be moved. It doesn't matter his status. He will be moved in a bus, because that's the only way they can manage the movement
and the number of people
that
will be there.
Now when he goes to sleep in the tent at Arafah or Muna, probably he will be in the company of about 200, 300 people under a tent. A big man for that matter. So if he does not go with a whole lot of patience and humility, one of the 2 essence of very important is humility and patience. If you are not humble, then there's no reason for you to think that Hajj is for you. You just must be humble. You must humble yourself. And you probably will not get directive from one young boy when you arrive at Mecca and say, hey, Alhaji, go like this. And you look at the age or the level of education or how he appears, and you feel me. Are you ordering me around? Well, you have to be ordered around for your own comfort. So what I would therefore tell them is, please lower your toga of arrogance. Please be more patient, and very importantly, you are going for a spiritual exercise. You have to reconnect with your Creator. Pray for yourself, pray for your family, pray for our country, and even pray for the entire human space, which look like a warring space. I mean, the planet has come to be like a warring planet. We need to ask Allah to help us to make the place, the world look, the world more peaceful.
Now, I'd like us to just quickly touch on the issue of religious tolerance. Nigeria today is a multi-religious society, and unfortunately, it appears that religion is beginning to make some of us feel like we have yellow blood as against red, where red is actually what runs through all our veins. How would you speak to the bulk of Nigerians who are listening right now? How can we manage tolerance amongst ourselves in this multi-religious society that we find ourselves in?
You see, for people of all adherents, and I must say, unfortunately, that those who are accomplice mostly are the people of the majority faith in the country. Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran that if He had wished, la ja'alnakum ummatan wahida, I would have make every person to be on the same faith. But Allah said, wala yazaluna mukhtalifin. Whether you like, whether you don't like, all of you will not be on the same way. It's impossible to expect that every person in the world will be on the same way or on the same path or on the same faith. It's an illusion. Again, because Allah the Almighty, or God as you may want to call it, has the power to say that, okay, you believe in me, okay, I created you, follow this path. It doesn't matter whether you like or you don't like. I think as long as people remember that this is something beyond you, we'll be able to live together better. But I must tell you that sometimes people only hide, if not all the time, behind religion in order to satisfy their wishes, and sometimes they are lost. And if you look at it very well, geographically, wherever you see a lot of, strife, a lot of fighting, there are going to be a lot of poverty.
And a lack of progress.
So, what I'm even trying to say, poverty sometimes is the background, is the basis. Have you seen rich people fighting on the street? But you can see their driver fights.
Okay, yes. True.
So when you see the region where there's a whole lot of religious animosity, that region has a whole lot of young idle minds who can be fed with the truth, the falsehood, and everything put together. Their life already make no meaning. So anybody who say go and waste your life, it's easy. That's why where there is minimum of prosperity. I mean, a good case is this. Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country, but there's no religious. There's no apparent tension in the kingdom. Is that not so?
Yes, and you cannot say everybody there is a Muslim.
Yeah, but also the same thing in, say, maybe England. England is a Christian country. You cannot be
predominantly.
You cannot be the head of state except you're a member of the Anglican Church. You cannot be the Prime Minister of England. But there's no animosity between the England and the Protestant, between the Anglican and the Protestant or the Catholic churches. Where there's poverty, people will hide under every inconceivable thought and wrought havoc on the world. So what we need to do more is to decrease poverty and increase literacy and give people the opportunities to work. When people are hungry, they certainly will be angry, and they'll be too willing to use any tools available to avenge. To avenge. Because they will believe they have been tortured. So I think, but overall, we ask all leaders of faith to continue to preach tolerance to the adherents of their faith, because whether you like it or not, till the day when the world will cease to exist, all of us will not be in the same faith, whether Islam, whether Christianity, whether great messengers I've had this morning.
Well, and that is a good place to drop it this morning on the Zuma talking point. I want to say a very big thank you to NACON chairman Alhaji Zikrullah Kunle Hassan for being a part of it this morning. I would like to actually speak with you more, not on Hajj, but on religious tolerance. And inshallah, when you come back from Hajj, it will be a good talking point to look at when you do come back, inshallah. And may Allah accept the Hajj of all those performing it this year. May Allah forgive their and our sins, and may Allah grant all those who are willing a chance to perform Hajj and Umrah at least once in a lifetime. Thank you very much, Alhaji, for being a part of the show this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's our package this morning on a Zuma talking point. We had to do this because the Hajj is coming up in less than 2 weeks, 7th of July or thereabout. So we want to say a big thank you to you for listening, and I apologize for not opening the phone lines. Yes, please don't take it against me. My name is Kemi Ashekun. You can call me Kem, and I like it that way. See you again tomorrow at the same time by the grace of God. Have a great day.